Welcome to How We Heard It, the podcast about music, pop culture, movies, and more, with your hosts, Wayne Bledsoe and Chuck Campbell.
Salama, this is Chuck Campbell with
Wayne Bledsoe, and
This is John Baker.
that is hello in Madagascar, in the Madagascar language Malagasy. And we got our, I believe, first Madagascar listener yesterday when I woke up in the morning and saw them there. So hello to Madagascar. Maybe it was a lemur listening to us.
maybe it was a lemur.
That's the only place they are natural, right, Wayne? You were just saying?
That's right. Lemur is one of my favorite animals. Not quite good enough to be a monkey.
Okay. Oh, you like monkeys better? Or
No. That's what I like about the
they're
lemurs
not
is they're
quite-
not quite to the monkey level.
Okay.
They
That
also
works for
have
me.
they also have stink fights. They rub their scent glands everywhere to like.
I've known some people like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I think those days are behind me.
But yeah.
So we've got Mother's Day fast approaching here, and so we're going to take a look today at mothers and motherhood in music this week. We're going to try to mix it up a little bit. We do these big, all-encompassing songs about this or songs about that, and sometimes we'll have 40 or 50 songs we're
Right.
just shooting out rapid fire. So we're going to we're going to broaden it and not just have songs about mothers and motherhood, but also have a little bit more to say about the different songs we do. See how that fits with people.
So this is for all you mothers out there.
For all you mothers who fussed at us for not listening to each other or whatever. So. And with that, I'll start with a little personal anecdote about my own mother. So my mother and I are well bonded, and we're very tight and everything. But growing up, I didn't know her as well as I knew everyone else in the family. And the reason for that is that my parents had divorced when I was 3. Okay, my sisters were like 10 and 12 at that point. And I don't remember my parents as married. And I don't have any deep memories until I was about 6 or something like that. So at that point, they'd been divorced a good while, and we'd set a new rhythm for the family. My mom was now a single mom of 3, me and my 2 older sisters, and she was working as a real estate agent, working 12-hour days doing real estate. So most of my supervision and everything when I was young came from my sisters or our housekeeper that we had. And then when I was with my dad at his place, it was always just attention from dad. So I knew my dad, I knew my sisters, but I've always been a little bit iffy about what mom liked, And so I was thinking about that, thought this is a good example for me to talk to her about music and everything, because we haven't really had as many conversations as I had with like dad or whatever. So we have a ritual where we watch 2 episodes of the Brady Bunch every weekend. And it's just something we do. She likes the show, and I remember the reruns when I was a kid growing up. So we watch it. And I'd forgotten to bring up music to her, and I knew we were doing a Mother's Day thing. And we were watching, and Marcia, the oldest daughter of the Bradys, she comes to her parents and says she has to learn how to do more formal dancing because she doesn't know how. And Dad jumps up and says he'll teach her the waltz. And they turn the radio on, and a song starts playing. It was an instrumental song.
Right.
I just said, "What song is that?" And Mom just said, "Moon River." Mm-hmm. I was surprised that she would know that. I'm like, "What? Did you like that kind of music?" She goes, "Yeah, sure. I liked, I liked big band music and Jitterbug and, whatever pop radio was at that time." And I said, "Were you really into music?" And she said, "Well, not really." And now we're watching Mike Brady and Marcia dance and waltz.
Right.
And I said, "Were you into dancing?" And she said, "I love to dance. I love dancing. That was my favorite thing to do as a child, as an adult." And I said, "Well, where did you even dance?" She's from a small town.
Right.
And she and her family lived on top of a hill that looked over this town, and it had like a 5 and dime and a clothing store and a couple of banks and a restaurant or two, a diner or whatever. She said there was a jukebox down there, and that she and her friends would go down there and just put the jukebox on and just dance all this music. And I said, "Wow." And I was picturing her dancing with, and I've always wondered, what kind of dating life Mom had before my dad. And I asked her, I said, "Were there any boys that, you liked you were dancing with?" She said, "None of the boys I liked danced." I said, "Well, then was it just all you girls?" And she said, "No." She said, "I had a really good friend who danced with all of us girls. And she said he was gay. And I was like, you had a really good gay friend in your childhood? And
cool.
she said, yeah. She said he was gay. I said, was that something different or weird? And she said, no, one of my aunts was gay. One of my cousins was gay. And I'm like, why am I just now getting all this gay talk from my mom?
Yeah, really.
And she said, so, she said it was just all, natural to me. Then she said, he got killed. I said, oh, did he go to war or something? She said, no, he was murdered because of, gay kids would get murdered back then, and they still aren't safe now. But I brought it back to dancing, and I said, what kind of dancer was Dad? And she said, not a good one. She said he tried, but he wasn't good at it. But anyway.
I'm curious what music was on the jukebox.
Well, I asked her, and because when I was saying, was it all just big band and stuff? And she goes, no, it was like pop radio. And I'm trying to do the math of, was there pop music at that point? And like,
well, sure.
When was the Jitterbug even?
Well, the Jitterbug is back in the 30s.
Okay.
But I mean,
so that's even predating her.
But you talk about Moon River. I mean, that was the theme song to Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Right.
So
but
that was
she
about
recognized the
1960.
instrumental like instantly. And I thought, wow, my mom does know music. And so anyway.
Yeah, it's a Johnny Mercer song.
And I'm happy to say that I've got a lot more time with my mom now than I ever did. I'm spending more time with her in the past 3 or 4 years than ever before. So I'm finding out these things. But every day it's like something new. My mom had a gay friend and a gay aunt and a gay cousin. The friend was murdered, and my mom loved dancing, and she could identify. Anyway.
Well, it's a funny thing about that because I grew up with. If I'd been gay, it probably would have been no problem whatsoever in my family because, my family was really accepting and everything. But, my mom was always, there was always friends that she had that were gay.
Right.
And it was just, it was not a big deal.
Well, truth is probably everybody has friends that are gay.
Yeah.
They either don't admit it or they don't know it.
But so many people just don't say it.
Right.
That was the thing is they don't say it out loud. Oh, yes. Here's the two aunts that, the aunt and her best friend. Yeah,
they just never found the right guy, so they just moved in together, and it worked.
Yeah, but it was never a thing. I credit my mom with giving me a love of Elvis Presley and Ray Charles and Jerry Lee Lewis and that whole era, which is her era as far as, what she really, the music she really loved.
Right.
Because rock and roll hit 54 is when Elvis came out.
Right.
And then everything that followed. So she was 54, she was still a teenager.
Right. Only memories I have of Mom and music are when I ended up stuck going on with her when she had to show a house or property or something, and I'd sit in the car.
Yeah.
And she liked Bacharach, but there were a lot of things I thought she liked. And then when I went through it with my family and everything, it was like, no, my oldest sister liked that, or my dad liked that. It's like, it just feels weird to think your mom would be kind of a more of a mystery to you than anyone else. She's not anymore, but
mine is still.
Yeah.
Well, both my parents listened to music all the time, but my father was just really snobby about it.
Yeah.
He didn't think anything composed after 1850 was worthy of your consideration.
So I'm thinking classical.
Yeah, he was all classical. But my mom was much more open-minded, and we always played music at dinner time. She always put jazz on.
Okay.
It's usually like Dave Brubeck or Bill Evans or Miles Davis or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And but she was also really into Cat Stevens and folk and Neil Diamond and all that kind of stuff. And I've had and Simon and Garfunkel, Paul Simon solo stuff. She's the one that turned me on to Graceland.
Okay.
Which I think is a fantastic record.
Our moms are the same age.
Yeah.
And it's like my mom wasn't doing Graceland. She did like talking about Madonna, though. So.
Interesting. Huh.
But then, I was in Florida at that point. So when I launched my music writing career, we were separated by, a couple of states.
Well, this brings up sort of one of the song suggestions or the songs that I wanted to talk about is Loudon Wainwright's song White Winos.
Okay.
Which is about getting drunk with your mom, catching a buzz. And it's like, it made me think about, and the first time I heard it, it's like, what is that first point when you recognize, okay, I'm an adult and I'm relating to my parent as an adult too.
Right. That's a whole different relationship.
It is. And being, a father and having, children that have grown up, it's real interesting to be on the other side of that.
Right.
Because, in that song, he's talking about, sitting with his mom, drinking, 3 glasses of white wine until they get buzzed and they start talking about all this stuff.
Right.
And, the first time you get a little tipsy with your parent I think it's a real rite of passage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
My mom was always very liberal. I snuck booze out of her liquor cabinet when I was like 9th grade, I think. And she found out about it and she said, well, John, if you want to drink, I can't stop you, but just do it here.
Right.
You and your friends do it here. At least I know you're safe.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was always very, she knew she couldn't control that.
Right. Well, my parents let me taste whatever. And of course, it was so funny because what my mom drank was cherry vodka. And people would say, oh, yeah, start them out right. Something that tastes like, a sweet, cherry drink.
Yeah.
It's like
something that tastes like Kool-Aid.
But it never became really, forbidden fruit to me. So I generally didn't just get totally plastered,
How about you and Lauren, your daughter? Do you
Well, yeah.
drink or...
We do.
Yeah.
We drink together, like when we're going out someplace or whatever. And Is
it weird to see your little girl drink?
No, not
She's not
really.
a little girl, though. How old is Lauren?
Lauren's 29.
Well, that's how old she is
She'll
now.
be 30.
But I think some parents always look at their kids as 5.
Oh, listen, my oldest taught her to put water in the vodka so that nobody could see that, the vodka was going down.
My middle sister, the troubled one, taught my parents to never keep clear liquor around.
Yes.
Because it would always end up being water.
Well, that's what it was with Lauren. Of course, Lauren is a mom now.
Right, yeah.
And, it's an interesting thing. It's more interesting to me rather than me seeing her, because I've watched her, develop and grow up.
Right.
But I think that kids, and this is the way it was with me anyway, you don't recognize everything about your parents until you become an adult and you experience those things, and then you have a better understanding.
Right.
Well, I was hanging out with a friend of mine whose daughter, and this was like a year or 2 ago, and she was just graduating high school and getting ready to go to college, and we were at a party at their house, and the daughter was walking around drinking a beer, and so I just asked Chris, and he's like, look, I want her to know what that is rather than show up at college and not have any idea about it and just lose her mind.
Yeah.
Right.
And I agree with that.
Well, one of the song subjects I was looking at is, that you think about your mother as your mother.
Yep.
But she was somebody before she was your mother.
Right.
And you brought up Graceland, and there's a great song on Graceland called That Was Your Mother. Mm-hmm. It's like Paul Simon talking to his son about, oh no, this is what your mother was like.
Right.
And there's another Loudon Wainwright song, the same thing, that was called I Knew Her. What was it? I Knew Your Mother, which is like he says, I knew her when she was you were the means, love was the means, and you were the end. But I think that's a real thing about these songs. The few songs that are written about that is like that is a big thing that you recognize. Oh yeah, you want to find out what they were like before you knew them as a parent, and see if they were like you, and see what were different. Just like you're finding that out about your mom.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
Yeah,
you want to go back and figure out what made them the way they were, and did they have more fun before they were parents? And
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got so many topics and many topics, not so many. Anyway,
M-I-N-I,
I've got
not
so
M.
many. Oh my God, 3 hours. No, but does artistry change? Especially, does artistry change with women performers? Mm-hmm. And it can with men as well who become fathers. And I think there's something that I ascribed to and thought was true, but I think maybe it's actually a myth, is that women don't just completely change. Women performers don't just completely change when they become mothers.
Right.
But I did find some interest. And this is all based just a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about Kate Bush, and I was talking about a song of hers that I thought was like some gushy mom holding her baby for the first time. And I just misread the lyrics, and I was completely wrong. She wasn't a mother for another 10 years, so I got it wrong. And I was looking back at, a lot of women who were mothers, and it didn't seem to change them. Like, Chrissy Hynde and Diana Ross, Pat Benatar, Mariah Carey, all kinds of women.
Well, now Chrissy Hynde, it changed her subject matter.
Okay.
Because
now she had 2 kids. She had one with
Ray Davis from the
and
Kings.
then she had one with
Jim Kerr.
Simple Minds. Yeah.
Simple Minds guy.
But her album, the album "Waiting to Crawl."
Yeah.
Learning to Crawl. It's got that great song called "Watching the Clothes Go Round."
Oh yeah.
And it's all about this is my life now.
Right.
I'm watching the clothes go
laundry.
round.
Right. But I was thinking of like fundamental changes, like everything they see looks different to them once they have
or that their
kid.
productivity went downhill or something like that.
Right.
And I don't think
and
Chrissy
Lily
Hines did.
Allen, she kind of like played into that a couple of years ago. She was talking that motherhood ruined her career.
Yeah.
Now she said she loved her kids. She was glad she had her kids. Her kids complete her, but it just kind of ruined everything she was doing musically. And I thought, how many other women are like that? And what I discovered is more women. The biggest effect it seems to have is they lower their output of music, or they just stop for a while or a long while. It's like Lauryn Hill was the biggest anything ever. And then she had 6 kids and just kind of like wasn't doing music anymore. Yeah. And same thing. Everyone like
6 kids.
Yeah, like a Shakira, a Shania Twain, a Rihanna. She's not had an album in 10 years, but she's had 3 kids.
Yeah.
So so I think then that's just a practical thing. Is like how much time do you have to do the kind of album that you want to do? But as far as just changing their mind and who they are, I don't really see that much evidence of that.
Well, it's funny because I used to ask that question after I had kids. I would ask artists who had, fairly recently had kids, has this changed you as an artist? And a couple of times, I can't remember which ones it was, but a couple of women kind of got pissed off at me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I asked that of men too, because I know just in the stuff that I did other than working at the paper, it makes you a better editor because you don't have enough time to piddle around.
Right.
If you're writing something or doing something, you got to go ahead and say, oh, yeah, I'm committing to this.
Right.
Because you don't have nearly so much time. But I also think that, and I think the honest artists would probably say this, it changes your priorities.
Yeah.
Sure.
Except for the ones who don't give a shit. And their kids wind up.
Moms aren't equally good or great or
and,
terrible. So.
And there's some great songs about bad mothers, too.
There are. Yep, there are. Yep. Well, and I can see why women particularly might be sensitive to that question, because it seems like people assume, like I was kind of doing, that it's going to change women dramatically, but men, it maybe won't change as much. And it's like, that's just one more thing you have to battle as a woman. It's like, great, now everyone's going to think, that I'm going to be a squishy mom or something like that.
I think I got more answers from men saying it changed them than I did women.
Yeah, okay.
Which, I don't know if that's completely honest. I do think I got women's backs up a little bit by asking it, because they assumed I didn't ask men that.
Yeah. Exactly, and that it's probably not the question itself. It's just like, you're not asking this of the guys, are you?
Yeah, and the fact is, yes, I was.
Yeah,
because it changed
you're
me.
Better than most people, so.
Well, no,
you realize it could change anybody. Right, you're a father yourself, and it certainly changed you.
It changed my whole outlook on life. Is like, okay, I've got somebody I've got to care about their welfare and keeping them alive and healthy and happy.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not the same as, okay, I'm with another adult that I have to help do that, rather than I'm totally responsible.
I am responsible for this living thing.
Right.
Well, Andrew, you're first. That was, you were very like first-time parents. You know? I mean, weren't you like real protective of, like, even you didn't even want to leave him?
Yeah,
a sitter, or I don't remember, but it seems
but we didn't. I mean, he was born prematurely,
right?
And he had some heart problems,
right? Yeah,
and so it took like 6 months to get his heart regulated, because he had something called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome,
right?
And
I was there for all 3 of your children. Right. It just seems like as you have a second one and then a third one, you're more calm about, okay.
Yeah, they're gonna survive this, and it's gonna go along. But you brought that up. It was something I probably would have talked about later instead. But my late wife was very concerned with us staying a couple.
Oh, okay.
So it was like every week, if it was just an hour, we would leave Andrew, our oldest, with her mom,
right, and
go out and do something.
Right.
Because that was really important. I mean, she knew how important it was. I didn't at the time, because I was always scared to death something's going to happen to him. Right. But after my wife died, that's what I went back to all the time. I went back to those times that we spent together when we were young parents.
Yeah.
More than any other memories.
Yeah.
So I had no idea how important it was, but we stayed a really, tight, healthy couple.
You certainly were.
Through everything.
I mean, you certainly were.
Yeah. But and this was something, I'm trying to think which songs I had that kind of related to that. But this is something that other parents don't do. I mean, there's all these songs about, boys having to choose between their mother and their girlfriend.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I think that's a real unhealthy thing that goes on in songs.
Right.
I think about, there's a ton of them from the 20s and the 30s and before. There's a great NRBQ song called Hot Biscuits and Sweet Marie, which the guy has to choose between his girlfriend and leaving his mama's cooking.
Hot biscuits are really good.
I know, that's the whole point of the song. But yeah, so anyway, my daughter, I said, she has her first, who's going to be a year old in May, but I'm doing the same thing for her. I'm watching, my granddaughter for an hour or two every week, sometimes 3 or 4 at the most, but just so they get out and they stay a couple, so they don't write terrible songs like talking about how you can't decide between your mom and your girlfriend.
Well, and taken to an extreme, one of the songs that I thought of was from Pink Floyd, The Wall, the song Mother.
Yeah.
And it's just about smothering love. It's like the mom won't let the baby out of the nest, won't let.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of typical Pink Floyd song, in that Roger Waters sings all the sort of hard to sing, and then David Gilmour comes in with his angelic voice and sings the choruses.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a successful formula.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't something I really thought about that much until, and we were talking about this a little bit before we started. Chuck used to always notice go through how it goes, Chuck, because I hadn't noticed it before when we were at work, and it was like, oh yeah, you're right.
So, and this certainly is not true of all women, and some guys are like this too, but I did notice that female friends of mine, from high school or college or even at work over the years, how there was a track for them to plot out, right? And normally, like you would see on their desk, you would see pictures of them and their friends, like in college, and all the girls running around and everything. Then some guy would come into the picture, and then it'd be like the guy and friends, and then just her and the guy. Then there's marriage, and the pictures would become her and the guy, and they'd get a dog. So it'd be her and the guy and the dog, and maybe the dog picture. But once some of these gals had kids, all of the photos disappeared of everything, dogs, friends, and husbands, and it's just kid photos, But what are you going to say?
No, keep going. Because I'd never noticed that before, and it was like, yeah, I think that's the way it goes.
Well, it follows through on like Facebook feeds or Instagram feeds. It's like you'll see pictures of and then pictures of them with their boyfriend, and then pictures with their dog, and then all of a sudden there's nothing but babies.
No boyfriends, no dogs, just babies. And I think some of that is conditioning. I don't think it's that. The other people don't matter to the women anymore. It's kind of like, well, this is what everyone else is doing. And once I have a kid, I'm going to have to post pictures of my kid all the time,
Well, but I do think it's true. I mean, there's a great song by Bobby Bear Jr. called, and I think Hayes Carl co-wrote it, called "My Baby Took My Baby Away," which talks about, okay, the baby's stumbling around all over the floor. He's like drinking from a bottle. He's like half dressed, and you love him, but when I do the same thing, you criticize me all the time.
Right. Well, that brings up, it's like, there are different kinds of moms, and everybody makes a different kind of mom. Now, we know that Taylor Swift, the biggest artist of the last 25 years, very headstrong, dedicated, ambitious performer and everything. She's been dating Travis Kelce for a long time. They've announced their engagement. It seems like they're planning to get married this summer, and maybe they'll even get married before this comes out. And they've both been openly talking about having children. They want to have children. And Taylor Swift is 36, so it's time to kind of maybe figure that out. And I thought, she's going to be probably a hell of a great mom. What would you think?
I think the thing that made me a fan of Taylor Swift was the song "The Best Day."
Yeah. That was one I was going to mention. So.
And that's written about her.
She was a teenager. She wrote it, and she had had a terrible day, and I guess all of her friends at school made fun of her.
Yeah.
And her mom took her like to some other town, and they laughed and they cut up and everything. And she said, she didn't say, I don't care if I have my friends anymore, but she said basically her mom knew exactly what to do.
Right.
And because of that song and her being aware of it, you think, okay, now she's going to know how to be a mom.
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, I mean, when I always thought she was okay.
Yeah.
From those first couple of albums. I think that's on Fearless.
Yeah.
But I remember reviewing
teenager,
that.
Yeah.
And listening to that and thinking, oh, no, I've never heard anybody write a song about this.
Especially a teenager.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And it's like, this is...
It was very detailed, and like she's just praising her mom for knowing exactly what to say and exactly what to do and how to give her the bigger picture and to move on and be happy.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I'm always impressed when I hear a song that nobody has written about that subject before. And that was one of them. And obviously her mom seems like a great mom.
Yeah.
And she had sense enough as a teenager to really appreciate, this is special.
Normally
this is
teenagers
not
are embarrassed that they actually have parents.
Yeah, and certainly.
So embarrassed.
I didn't have to go through that too much. I had a little here and there. I got to be the cool
My mom
dad.
was the cool mom, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we could drink at my house.
Yeah. My mom was the cool mom when she was around. Yeah, like all my friends, some of them had crushes on her, and she.
Well, your mom was a hottie. You've shown me pictures.
Yeah, she was a hottie. Yep, absolutely. Well, so I've got a little fun game. Why don't we look at just a few for a minute here, of the young women performers now, and imagine what kind of moms they would be. Okay, these are unmarried, childless women so far.
Okay.
And so, of course, I'm going to bring up Olivia Rodrigo, 23. What do you think, Wayne?
I think she'll be the cool mom.
I think she'll be the cool mom. I think she'll be a fun mom.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing that, and it's how you sold her to me, is that she appreciates the past and old stuff. And I mean, that's a big thing.
She's a big picture kind of person.
Right. It's not the world started with me.
And I think there's something as playful and everything as I think there's something kind of preternaturally mature about her.
Yeah.
Because even as a teenager, like Taylor Swift, it was just a few years ago for Olivia, but she was able to pinpoint things and map out things and just think big picture.
Right. And that's so much of when you hear young people comment on things right now, it sounds like they don't think anything ever happened before they were born.
Right.
And I
that's
think
very common.
Right. And when you go back and you want to find out, what did happen before, what your parents were like, everything, I think that's a great sign.
She has a natural curiosity about that. What about Billie Eilish? She's 24.
I don't know. I mean, I like Billie Eilish, and I think she's a deep songwriter, so you want to think that, but who knows?
I think she would encourage artistry and creativity, and that would be a big thing to her. I think she's kind of an enigma to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
that's about design.
Yeah, but when you get to know her and everything, you realize she's a big fan of the show Survivor. She likes sports. There are a lot of things about her that are just real ordinary. That makes me feel good to know that she's not just some ethereal butterfly floating in space who might have a.
Well, and a child is like the ultimate art project.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you're creating.
Tell my daughter that you're the ultimate art project.
Well, I mean, I have two friends of mine that both of them, the married couple, both of them are just the quintessentially artists, and and their daughter is my wife and I's goddaughter, and this child is just has no choice but to be an artist. I mean, and she's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
that actually brings me to another subject when I'm done with this one.
Before we leave this, though, sometimes, and I mean, I've talked to the children of other artists before, they've become artists. I think there's so much competition.
Yeah.
To be as good as, or and a lot of people just don't like being compared to their parents, which I don't think anybody really. I mean, I was always compared to my older sibling, my sister, and it gets old after a while. So I'm not sure that being an artist and encouraging art necessarily is going to make somebody a good parent.
Well, I have a little bit to say about that, but let's finish this.
Keep going.
Young women. So I put down Sabrina Carpenter and Tate McRae for the same reason. Now,
I'm going to take a drink.
Sabrina Carpenter is 26 or 27. I think Tate McRae is just 22.
Yeah.
Now, these are very kind of sexual artists and everything, but how would that affect their motherhood, or would it?
Well, look what it did with Madonna. I mean, I think she was like a super conservative parent because of everything she did.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but it don't work.
Well, that's jumping forward to artists with artist kids and everything.
Right.
Because I've got her down to talk about that. I think that with these two, I think there's a certain humor and a certain, knowing kind of flirtations that they're doing. They're not just skanky, or anything like that. And I think that they both seem like they'd probably be pretty nurturing and fun to be around.
Well, I don't know them well enough, but I do think...
I don't know anything about either one of them.
I mean, the big thing about being a parent is being able to give up so much of yourself to be able to invest yourself in these children.
Well, I got one I'm worried about if she decides to become a parent, and that's Chapel Roan.
I was just getting knew that was going to happen.
She's 28, and I think she's talented as hell. I mean, but I think she's shown in a lot of her just public behavior, not just rumors and things you hear about, like what happened in Brazil with the kid that walked by her table. But she seems unbelievably narcissistic, and she's always playing the victim card, and I think a narcissistic woman who plays a victim card all the time, that sounds like a terrible mom, and hopefully she gets past it. Hopefully she learns how to adjust with fame and everything. But right now, it's kind of a red flags.
I hadn't heard anything from her in a while. Is she still putting stuff out, or is she?
Yeah, but she's mainly putting out fires because she keeps. I mean, it's like my friend and I were talking about. So this will be like a month-old story at this point when people hear this. But so what happened was she was in Brazil, and her dad, some little girl, like 10-year-old or 11-year-old girl, walked by her table at a restaurant. And smiled at Chapel Roan or whatever, and a security guard hunted her down, went back to her table, and just chewed out this little girl for being rude and all this stuff. And the little girl's mother is like a famous model in Brazil, and her father is like a soccer player, and her stepdad, her biological father is an actor. Anyway, she's a real connected, not just some rando girl. So you got the security guard saying one thing, and you got the little girl, the mom saying another thing, and you got Chapel Roan saying, I don't know how this happened. I don't know, I didn't tell him. I don't even know who this guy was. He wasn't my security. And then you had a guy come on and admit that it was him. Anyway, it sounded to me like probably the truth was the security guard hunted down the girl. The girl was probably being more aggressive, and the mom probably was making a bigger deal with it. And Chapel Roan knew exactly what happened, and they were all just distancing themselves from it. But she seems Chapel Roan, and she's got fans who like defend her every step of the way. But she's done so many things in public that you can watch where she just has no control, and she's very temperamental, and it's just like anyway. Chapel Roan, I love you. I love your music. And no,
don't become a mom.
Get your act together, and you're going to be unbelievable. And now you mentioned Madonna. So
right,
real quick, there are a few mothers who have daughters who want to be singers. A few mothers singers. Now with Madonna, her daughter Lourdes wanted to be a singer, and Madonna really didn't want that for her. And if you think about it, if you're like one of the biggest female pop singers ever in history, known for your sexuality and everything, wouldn't you worry that your daughter would just never live up to, she would always be in your shadow, She did eventually.
Knowing Madonna, it may have been that she's afraid she would eclipse her.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe Madonna's just egomaniacal enough that she wouldn't want her daughter to be as successful as she is. But there's no hope of that. Lola's not nearly as talented. Now, she's a beautiful model, and she's got other things going on. But Madonna just kind of hemmed and hawed about, and from what I understood, she kind of discouraged all of her children from going into entertainment, and it was almost inevitable that some of them would.
Yeah.
And then you have Annie Lennox, and her daughter, Lola, wanted to be a singer. And Annie Lennox talks about it and says, she was really hesitant to encourage it, but she didn't want to discourage it. And eventually, she just embraced it. It's like, Lola's going to do what Lola wants to do, and that's my daughter, and I'm not going to inhibit her. But wish she was doing something else. But anyway. Yeah. And then you got Beyonce and her daughter Blue Ivy. Mm-hmm. And the thing about that is like Jay-Z was kind of wanting Blue Ivy to be a star from the beginning. I think he recorded her like when she was a week old or something like that. He recorded her crying or something to put on a song just so Blue Ivy would be the youngest voice ever on a Pops hit, you know. Oh, for goodness sakes. But it seemed like Beyonce was reluctant. Blue Ivy was trying to get on Beyonce's tour when she was 11, and she was like really negative about it. But she finally went all in, and it's almost overwhelming how it looks like Beyonce and especially Jay-Z are just and Blue Ivy's still just 14, and they've just like packaged her. They're almost like stage parents now.
Good Lord.
So anyway.
Well, I brought this up earlier before we started taping, but I'm hoping that one of y'all can talk to me about the relationship between Sissy and Whitney Houston.
It was tough.
I mean, because wasn't Sissy really hard on Whitney?
Sissy was really hard on Whitney. Whitney, her personality, she was just prone to being dominated by other people, and that started with her mom. Sissy Houston was a huge gospel singer. And a big hit, and she knew her daughter had the voice too. But from the bios that I've seen and everything, she was very hard on Whitney and just like a real, not dictator, but just real hard, on Whitney and everything she did. And then Whitney went from that to like Bobby Brown, who was the same way. And I think she just had a lot going against her. And she had a lesbian friend that she was close with, and people didn't approve of that. So just everything about her life was really, it's sad because she was a gifted singer and just always seemed to have other people kind of pushing her around. You hear so much about the singers who are domineering, like a Madonna, right. Just surrounds himself with yes people and they control everything. Yeah. And Whitney Houston almost controlled like next to nothing about her life, and she had to just stand up for anything, So it was sad.
Just very submissive.
Yeah. And I don't think she wanted to be, but that was just and it started with her mom.
It was programmed in early.
And so that's what a overbearing mom can just cause people to be like that their whole lives. Even if it's not their mom, that's overwhelming.
They find someone else that fills that role.
Someone else, yeah. It's sad. It's sad that people can't just be.
Well, I think it's more. I think they're more successful sometimes when they're like country singer Lynn Anderson, who had "I Never Promised You a Rose Garden," a Joe South song, but her mother was the songwriter Liz Anderson. So she was successful, but she wasn't really competing with her parent.
Yeah.
It was a different thing. It's like
that can work too. Yeah, that can certainly work.
To some extent, Rufus Wainwright, whose mother was Kate McGarrigle, father was Loudon Wainwright, but he was influenced much more, I think, by Kate, his mother. And I think, he eclipsed her talent or her fame.
Right.
I mean, I think she was extraordinarily talented as a singer-songwriter, but he seemed to do better, I think, just the fact that he wasn't doing the same style of music, but he had her influence and obviously her support. She's got a great song called Losing You about him going off to college or whatever and being out on his own. It's a great song about being a mom and still trying to take care of your kid.
Yeah.
And that's on the Heartbeats Accelerating album. Really sweet song.
Yeah, I think one thing you said there is kind of key is that if you just take a little step to the left or right of what your parents did, so you're not just openly duplicating them, I think everyone can be happy with that, So, like, if Lord S. had decided to go into country or something like that, then Madonna may not, have... I don't know the dynamic between Lord S. and Madonna, but... like you were saying with Loudon Wainwright, his mother,
Rufus,
his music was a different style.
Yeah.
And so it would be, there's less chance of a parent-child rivalry.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, there definitely was more rivalry between Loudon and Rufus than there was Kate and Rufus.
Right.
But, yeah, Loudon, when I asked him about it, he said, yeah, I'm envious. He said there's all sorts of things wrapped up in it.
Right. He's very open in his songwriting about his difficulties with his children and all of his relations.
Yeah, but it's funny because Kate was obviously a much more nurturing person, and he was not there a lot of the times. But her songs about her kids are really sweet. His are not so much. Sometimes they are, but mostly not.
Yeah. Well, I've got songs.
Okay.
I will start with Kate Bush because I have to, and this is a woman's episode, so I get to talk about all the women I try not to talk about every week. Today I'm opening the guns, and it's like, here we are. Kate Bush, she's best known as far as motherhood goes. She's best known for the song "This Woman's Work," which I'm sure you've heard at least, Wayne. And it's about giving birth to a child and everything. But the mother song I love is one called "Mother Stands for Comfort." And this was on her Hounds of Love album from '85, which was my favorite album for years. And it was kind of just put on there. It wasn't a single or anything, but it was a weird song, and I'm not sure if it was a theremin or just a weird-sounding synthesizer. But it's the perspective of a murderer who is going home to mom because mom will protect this murderer no matter what. And so Kate Bush is just singing about mother stands for comfort. Mother, she knows what I've been doing. But, and it's just that level of confidence you could have in anybody, which a lot of times it'll come with your mother, to know that no matter what you've done, you're their child and they're going to do anything they can to protect you. And it was just such a clever kind of take on motherhood, as opposed to, this woman's going to work hard and she has her precious baby now and all that stuff, which is fine too. But just like, no matter what in the world, and I did take something personal from that because I felt like, I've always been afraid of doing something wrong, or terrified if was I caught speeding or anything like that. And to know that no matter what I did, my mom would be behind me, Yeah.
Well, there's my favorite song on that kind of subject is Malcolm Holcomb's song "Mama Told Me So," which is Malcolm Holcomb. He died, I guess, 2 years ago now, but he's got this gravelly voice. He goes, "Who's gonna love me when I'm old?" And he just talks about the relationship they have, and no matter what, she loves him, and it's a beautiful, beautiful song.
I've got a really beautiful song. I didn't even think of it when I was sort of trying to plan what I said, but you brought up like a son that's done something horrible.
Right.
There's a Freddie Johnston, the title track on his album, This Perfect World. And I've struggled with the lyrics for a while to try and figure out what it's about. But what I think it's a killer talking to his mother. And he's like, you ought to lock this door. I've told you, you need to be careful. There's people out there that'll hurt you. And last time I was here, they were dragging the lake. Yeah. And he's just like, I'd love to cry, but these drugs won't let me.
Yeah.
And it's just,
that's creepy.
The chorus is absolutely beautiful. It's got cellos, and it's just a gorgeous song. Yeah. This Perfect World.
Well, the classic song to me you don't want to disappoint your mom because your mom's going to be there for you the whole time, is "Mama Tried" by Merle Haggard. And it's just absolutely, that one. He also has "Mama's Hungry Eyes" is another one. But "Mama Tried" is just like one of the best country songs ever. I mean, I'd put it up in the top 5 greatest country songs. And that's the thing, is like, his mom tried to raise him right, but he went the wrong way, but, she still loves him.
Do you know "Kill Your Mama" by Alicia Keys?
No, I don't know this one.
Great. It's great. It's she's kind of just blasting the moral decrepitude of America and people thinking of themselves only and sacrificing the environment for whatever they can get and blah, blah, blah. And the punchline is, how are you going to kill your mama when only mama's going to love you to the grave?
Well, that's a good line.
Yeah, it's like so she's just like, what?
So the title's provocative.
Yeah, and it's like, exactly. It's not, you're not going to kill your mama.
She's not saying you should kill your mom.
She's saying, if for nothing else, don't do the crap you're doing so you don't kill your mama. Because she's the only one that'll have your back, I've got some songs. We're talking about the Taylor Swift song, "The Best Day." I was a few other songs that are kind of like lessons learned from mom. And one of those that we know very well is Dolly Parton's "Coat of Many Colors" from 1971. It's the tale of a poor little girl, as Dolly was, whose mother patches together other materials from other fabrics and just turns it into a coat. And the thing about it, Dolly appreciates the love that went into it. But there's a little strong bit in that I like, where she goes to school and the kids make fun of her, and Dolly doesn't feel embarrassed. She's just explaining that's because my mom loves me, and every stitch that went into that coat was because of my mom's love. So she was strong, and she knew what her mom did, and she wasn't like, oh, I'm going to throw this coat away, you know. And I like that little twist in it.
And she's great at that.
Yeah.
But her mom,
Jolene, has got a weird twist to it too.
Yeah, yeah.
But when she was making it, she's also telling little Dolly, the biblical story of Joseph, you know, and the coat of many colors.
Yeah.
And it's like, so she's, I mean, that's the thing. Can you imagine little Dolly Parton getting in there and schooling everybody? Now, this is what my mom said to me.
You don't know crap.
Well, it's one of the times I interviewed Dolly, that time I got to spend a whole hour with her just talking about songwriting. I asked her, you know, if there's one song that you would want to represent you, what would it be? And she said she guessed it would be that one.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's not just a sappy, my mom did this for me.
No.
It's like, you know, it was power and strength and that love that her mom had for her.
Yeah.
It made her, like, you know, blow off the other kids.
Yeah, and that song has so many levels of, you know, just importance.
It does. It's so much more than just what you think it might be.
Yeah. No, that is a perfect song.
Yeah. And another one, I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
It's another oldie, so while I'm way back in time. Diana Ross and the Supremes, You Can't Hurry Love. Mm-hmm. One, it's a wonderful song. Yeah. And it's just constructed so well, and the harmonies and the melodies, and I love Diana Ross's voice on that, and I love the Supremes on that, and just the give and take and everything. But it's much wiser. Diana Ross was 22 when she made that song. So she was a young woman, impatient for love and everything. And just the lines, you know, you can't hurry love. Love don't come easy. It's a game of give and take. And then she shifts back into the Diana Ross mode. And I love how she expresses this line, that how many heartaches must I stand before I find the love to let me live again, you know. But she just keeps going back to mom saying, you can't hurry love. And that's one thing every 22-year-old doesn't understand, you know. Yeah. And it's like, because when you're that age, you get infatuated. And you think everything's great and everything's perfect. I met someone who's just 100. And then you start learning more about each other. And you start getting to know each other. And it's just, so it's kind of like the Dolly Parton, is that on another level, there's so much more to it than just a simple, you know, really well-crafted sing-along type song.
Well, on a much lighter tone,
okay.
Randy Newman's song "Mama Told Me Not to Come" is like, you know,
didn't someone cover it?
Well, Three Dog Night had the huge hit with it, and they actually, and you know, it's blasphemy to my fellow Randy Newman fans, but Three Dog Night made it a better song.
Yeah,
but
that's when I remember. So.
Well, they did a great version of it. They added some stuff to it that you know Randy didn't have in there naturally that I think just made it better. But you know, how many times as a kid did your mother say, "You don't do that. Don't you go there. Don't do that." And it's like, well, yeah, you went, and it was like, uh-oh. I shouldn't be here.
Right.
Well, if you went light, I'm going dark. And I thought of the song "Mother" by John Lennon on Plastic Ono Band, and John Lennon was going through
primal scream
therapy of some kind of
Author Janov.
Yeah, where you get down to the roots of your grief and just scream them out. Yeah. And he literally does this in the song. It's the first line of the song is, "Mother, you had me, but I never had you." Because his mom died when he was like 3 years old.
No. He was a teenager.
Okay,
they actually their relationship. She came back into his life for 4 years, and then he was a young teenager, and she got hit by a bus and killed.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But the song Julia on the White Album is sort of the opposite of Mother, because it's just this sweet,
It's a sweet song. It's not grieving.
Yeah. Is that McCartney or something, or is that also?
No, that's John Lennon.
That's John
His
Lennon.
mother's name was Julia, so he wrote this song Julia, and it's what John's referring to. Mother is like the fact that when he was little, she left him with her sister, Aunt Mimi, and went off and partied.
Oh, okay.
And did whatever, and then she came back into his life, and I think she taught him ukulele. I think it was ukulele she taught him, and she was a music lover and everything, and they were really reconnecting. And then she went out and was like crossing the street, and a bus hit her.
Wow.
And at the end of that song, he's just screaming, "Mama, don't go. Mother, don't go. Daddy, come home." Because his dad was gone in the Merchant Marines all of his life.
Wow.
And only came back into his life after the Beatles got famous.
Yeah, and tried to capitalize on
and trying to make money.
He was a real jerk.
Wow. The Lady Gaga LGBT anthem, "Born This Way," that was all told from the perspective of her mother. And she's embodying her mother and passing it along to all these downtrodden and worried LGBT kids. And she, because she even says, Mama told me this, and then listen to me when I say, and it's got great lines of, we're all born superstars. That's what her mom said. And let's see, don't hide yourself in regret. Just love yourself in your set. And that brings me to the Brandi Carlile song. Brandi Carlile is a lesbian and a big country singer, or modern country. Alt country, is that what we call her? I don't know.
I just think she's pop.
But she had a song from 2018 called The Mother. And this is the true story of Carlile and her wife. They had a child, Evangeline. They had 2 children, but the first one was for her daughter, Evangeline. And she said, "You are not an accident who no one thought it through." They had to go to all this effort to actually have their daughter. Yeah. So it wasn't, just a mistake. And she's telling her daughter, she goes, "The world has stood against us, made us mean to fight for you." So she's attributing it to her daughter and giving her, and then they had another daughter too. So I don't know, just like, again, looking for extra meaning and everything. It's like, you represent so much more. You're our daughter and we love you. And she talks about stuff like, I learned that my time isn't my time or whatever, and everything can be broken. But she would underscore it with some deep, we wanted you and we planned you and we fought for you, and apparently the daughter's grown up to kind of embody that.
That's good.
A little bit.
Well, this sort of made me think of a fella, Ed Hamill. He calls himself Hamill on Trial when he performs. He was on Ani DeFranco's label.
Okay.
So I'm sure
Hamill on Trial.
Hamill on Trial.
Didn't I introduce you to him? I think I did.
I don't know. He came through town.
I love that album.
Well, yours. I can't. Yours probably
he had a couple albums out.
Yeah, he had a whole stack. He's got tons of albums now.
Well, you know me. I just like people blip in. I know you for an album or two, and then I don't know you anymore.
I think you reviewed his first album, and I reviewed his second album but I interviewed him when he came through. But he's got a song called "Mommy's Not Talking Today."
Do you
remember that one?
Yeah.
And it's just about Mama's in the bath because the child has done all these horrible things, including like uploading naked pictures of her on the internet and all sorts of other stuff.
Mommy's not talking today.
But it's like, I love it. That's another case of, there's really not that many songs about what you have to go through when you have a kid.
Right.
And it's like, it just lists all these horrible things the kids have done.
Yeah.
It's a great song. He's a really good artist. He's been out touring a lot lately. I think he's relocated to Austin. He used to live in New York.
And I like the gentle tone of that song to the kids. Just like, okay, Mommy's not talking today.
Hamill on Trial.
Hamill on Trial.
Yeah. We haven't mentioned him before. He's great.
Oh yeah, he's terrific, and he's doing more than he ever has.
Is he?
I keep up with him on Facebook.
I feel bad.
But he's never come through town, for ages. It's been forever since he's been through Knoxville.
Yeah.
But, I'd travel to see Hamill on Trial if he came close again.
Okay.
How about the very first thing I thought of when I read your description of our topic was Mother and Child Reunion.
Oh, yeah.
I just love that song. I think it was one of the very first reggae songs I ever encountered.
Was it really about chicken and egg, though?
That's how he got the inspiration, apparently.
It was a menu item called Mother and Child Reunion.
Yeah, because it was chicken with egg.
It's a beautiful song. And I would still take it as
I'm not even thinking about the meaning of the song.
Yeah.
The title
nobody
popped into my head.
Who would know?
I didn't know. I heard the song and I knew the song. I liked the song. It was years later that I found out it was a menu item. It's like, oh, it's so gruesome. It's like chicken with egg dish.
But it does sound like the sweetest song about,
It's a sweet song.
Well, and it's a reggae song.
Yeah, but I never thought about that, but I guess it is.
Well, my band in Memphis used to cover it, and we took it straight to reggae. to ska. It's like ska.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is early reggae.
Yeah.
I've mentioned, I don't remember when, but Spice Girls' Mama, that is such a beautiful song. I like that it was 5 women singing about their personal moms and just it was like a real sincere, not just a beat, catchy dance song or anything like that. And, and they had their moms with them and everything. And there was one line I liked. I never thought you would become the friend I never had. So it's talking about hating their mom when you're young, and she's, and just trying anything to get away from her. And then they all have little parts in the song. It's sappy, I know, but
no, that's good.
That really got me, and it's just beautiful. They could 4 of the 5 of them are great singers. I've always said that. We know who isn't. And just their harmonies are fantastic. And it was just such a genuine, sincere, soft song about how they all love their moms now.
That's cool. Well, I have a couple of things. There's, you remember the artist Minton Sparks? She's a spoken word artist, but she always had music behind her. She got musicians to back her up, and it almost was like she was singing because she has this great way of reciting. But she's got this song called "Mama Flies a Car."
Okay.
Where she's talking about being in the back seat and her mother driving the car crazy, that's because what she always did. And it's
I like that line.
Yeah, but it's like the whole piece is just what it's like to be a little kid, and the mom's in charge driving that car, and she's just recounting all the things the mother does and says, and it's great. It's just so much fun. Greg Brown, in his song Canned Goods, he's got a long version where he talks about the same thing. They're driving to Iowa or someplace. He lived in Iowa. They're driving somewhere, and he's talking about how she's driving, 60 miles an hour and putting her makeup on in the car, looking in the mirror. And he said, I was impressed. But I think I wish more songs and things were written about that kind of wonder of being a little kid and seeing these things you don't quite understand, but they're impressive.
Well, Wayne, you reminded me of a song that I wrote several years back on my album called Rough Skeleton, and the song is called With Ma in the Hospital. And my mom had hip replacement surgery, and I was just sitting there in her room. She was still coming out of right after the surgery, and I was just listening to all the little beepy, the heart monitor beeping.
You start with those beeps.
Yeah, and that's what I made the rhythm of the song. And it starts, the vocal is really whispery at first because she's just, but I just kept noticing there were like, some professional person would come in and address something and then walk out. And then someone else would come in and fluff something and walk out. And it was just like, there would be a little bit of activity and then nothing.
Yeah.
And just sit there and listen to the beep.
There is that rhythm in the hospital. It's cool that you zoned in on that.
I used to play that on my late night radio show on Mother's Day. And I always thought it was like, it's another one of those songs that I don't know of anybody else who's written about this.
What is it?
With Ma in the Hospital.
With Ma in the Hospital.
Yeah. I'll make sure you get a copy.
Yeah.
And I just discussed this. It doesn't really have much to do with mothers other than that her name was Mama Cass. But she apparently hated that name. Cass Elliott. She was the singer for the Mamas and the Papas.
I would have hated that name too, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think Michelle Phillips.
No one called her Mama, though.
No, her kids call her Mama. They call her Mama Michelle. No, that's like, they call her, because I've seen their videos that they put up.
Right.
They always call her Mama Michelle.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like they had other mamas or something?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah.
Well, the John Lennon thing made me think, let's backtrack to Madonna again.
Okay.
Madonna and her daughter. Let's look at Madonna and her mom. And the thing about that, the one genuine true thing that I think came out of Madonna in the 80s when she was just getting started and all that, is the story of her mother who passed away when she was 5, and that left a big void for her and everything. And she had a song called "Promise to Try," which came out in 1989. It caught everyone off guard because everything was just like sex, stand for yourself, and blah blah blah, like a virgin. Then she just had this real gentle, soft song. I think it's piano based even. It's called, and it's just she had a stepmom who was maybe a little hard, and her dad was real domineering, but her mom, she just had almost no memories of her. But she even had a line that's like, does she hear my voice in the night when I call? So it's like, the touching thing about it is like the Madonna letting down her guard, I think for the only time and the first time, like in the 80s. And it was a true story, and it was just about, and I think that really kind of colored her, there was no closure with her and her mom or anything like that. And I think it colored her career even, and her interactions with other people. And it just seemed like the first time I felt anything genuinely real and honest from her.
Because everything else was just a construct.
Yeah, everything else was a bustier, or something like that. But she's more than that. And that may have even affected her as a mom and trying to be overwhelming her children, I don't know. So,
yeah. Sometime we should do a whole show on songs about step parents.
Yeah. They get it rough. what movie was it I saw? It's like if you're a stepdad or a stepmom in a movie, you're going to be the bad guy. But it just kind of sucks because you can't win. I've only got one left.
Oh, okay.
Got a little.
I got one too.
Story.
And it's not even. I'll just say this.
Okay.
Frank Zappa's band was the mothers of invention.
All right, we don't have to talk about Frank Zappa in every episode.
Well,
that has nothing to do with women or motherhood, right? I mean, it's just and his all-man.
Well,
band
I mean, the mother of invention is necessity.
Right.
Yeah, he did have. I mean, we talked about My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama last week.
Right. Yeah.
I wanted to say some things about
next week.
bad mamas. Because there's a lot of songs.
Okay.
I didn't realize how many there were, really.
About bad mamas?
Yeah. I mean, Ian Hunter, who was the lead vocalist of Moth the Hoople, has a song called Shallow Crystals, which absolutely just tears his mama a new one about how mean she was to him.
Right.
Wow.
And then there's Mama's Gone by Jerry McCain, which is in the classic. There's a lot of songs about mothers not being there, being absent, going off to party, and Mama's Gone's one of the best ones. It's just, he's an old blues and R&B guy. And then you've got, this one's good, Mommy, Please Stay Home With Me by Carl Smith, about the little boy begging his mother not to go out and party.
Oh, my God.
And then you've got Tammy Wynette had one called I Wish I Had a Mommy Like You.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. There was a whole genre of bad mom songs that go through
Lily
these
Allen
things.
did one about herself as a bad mom.
Oh, really?
Which
Which
one?
one?
I was just talking about her. It's called 3, and it's her 3-year-old. She's off hooking up with men and doing drugs and outperforming and everything, and her little kid's trying to bring her into her life, and she's like making excuses why she can't be there, why she doesn't know any of her kids' friends or anything. And then she takes a view of her daughter. It's just like, it's not my fault. I'm only 3. I'm only 3.
Oh, wow.
And it was like really touching. And she was the bad mom in the song, Lily Allen was.
Well, and there's also Alice Cooper's song Dead Babies, and that's what it's about.
Oh, wow.
It's about a mother, like her parents, not paying attention, and the baby eats a bottle of aspirin and dies.
Wow.
And it's like, at the time when it came out, it was like, oh, this is just creepy. And now it's like, as you get older, this stuff is not quite so funny to you anymore as far as, okay, this is a gross song. It's like, oh, this is really troublesome. It really bothers you.
I mean, his whole MO was to be outrageous, though.
It was, but it's actually a really good song.
Oh, I don't know the song.
Yeah, it's off of this Killer album. But,
Well, I've got a surprising story about my sister, the classic rock fan.
Okay.
And how we were not on the same page ever about music.
Right.
And there was a time when we were for one song, and it was my sister had a daughter, and the daughter was growing up, and my sister was complaining she wasn't always there for her and everything, and I made her listen to an ABBA song. She hated ABBA. I hated everything she listened to, but there was an ABBA song. It was very mature. It was like their last album called The Visitors, and it was a lot of adult themes and seeing ghosts and stuff like that. There's a song called Slipping Through My Fingers, and it's the mother is watching her kid get older and older, and then she gets more and more panicked because all the things she wanted to do as a mom, she's not been doing them. She's not been doing most of them, and all the plans that she has, are falling by the wayside. The little girl just gets older and older, and the mom's and she just said, she's slipping through my fingers, every minute. And there was this one line that it got to my sister, and it got to me because it got to my sister, and I think about my niece. I always think of this song, and it's everything. And it's the beginning and end of the song. She goes, school bag in hand, she leaves home in the early morning, waving goodbye with an absent-minded smile. So it's just like her little girl's going off to school, and she just is overwhelmed by, I'm not doing enough for my kid, and she just keeps getting older. And my sister loved it, and my sister and I bonded over that song.
Wow.
I'd forgotten that it just came to me, and I thought of her and how she actually opened up and listened to it, and then I don't even know if my niece knows that story, but
well, she needs to know it. That's
she
a good
does
one.
need to know it. If you're listening, Ricky, that's for you.
I got 2 stories about my mom about how creative she was.
Okay.
Well, she's not really any creative anymore. But one of the things when we were kids, if we were having dinner that was leftovers, she would get out a typewriter and make up a menu for Mom's place. And you could order, we had meatloaf and we had some fried chicken, we had some spaghetti, and she'd type all that out and put it on the table, and I'll have the spaghetti, please.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then another thing is that in birthday cakes, she would always put notes, just little tiny notes on paper in the batter of the cake. And if you found a note, it would say, John is, if it was my birthday, it would be, John is a good boy. But one time she did a scavenger hunt that started with notes in the cake. The first clue was a note in the cake, and then you had to go. So my mom was just super creative.
Oh, that's cool.
That's good.
I think my best memory with my mom is when she'd read the book The Godfather, and we were both excited about going to see it. But I was like in the 5th grade, maybe, when it came out, maybe 4th grade.
Too young for The Godfather, I would say.
Well, maybe, no, I guess Godfather came out in 72. So I would have been 12.
Were you? Okay.
So, yeah, but anyway, so she got me out of school.
Yeah.
And we went and saw The Godfather at the Tennessee Theater in the middle of the day. And it was like, oh, this is so cool.
Because it is cool.
There were other kids like there. I mean, there was like some high schoolers that had snuck out of high school to see it.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was great.
Well, I told you my mom accidentally took me to see Tommy. I've brought that story up before.
And we both one of your favorite
not ready
movies.
for what we got. And Margaret rolling around in a pile of beans. It was just like way more. But
well, I want to mention 2 songs quick.
Okay.
I know we've gone through a whole bunch of stuff. B.B. King's song, Nobody Loves Me But My Mother, and She May Be Jiving Too.
Did you know B.B. King never played chords?
I never.
Always played single string
notes.
Leads.
Yeah,
Really?
huh, I didn't-
Wow.
Never played rhythm guitar.
I guess I never noticed that, but yeah.
Anyway,
I saw him a bunch of times through the years.
my wife
talk to him.
gave him a shot in his butt.
Really?
Yeah. My wife is an ear, nose, and throat
she's the
doc.
doctor. Yeah.
And just clear that up on the front end. She was at work one day, and they got a call from B.B. King's manager, and he was set to play at the Tennessee Theater here in Knoxville that
sure I saw
night.
him.
And he was sick and couldn't sing, and so she and a nurse went up to B.B. King's hotel room and gave him a shot of steroids.
Huh.
And his manager gave Leslie a handful of cheap gold cosmetic jewelry because that's what B.B. King does to the women in the crowd. And he name-checked Leslie. He gave us tickets to the show, and he said, I want to thank my angel, Dr. Leslie. Without her, I wouldn't have been here.
That sounds familiar. I was at all his shows when he played here. I'm sure I reviewed it. Well, I want to mention one more song, and this comes from the teens. Okay. And it's relevant right now because
20 teens.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry. The 19 teens.
Oh no!
Yes,
there you go.
You'll appreciate this,
okay,
because of the bill that's trying to go through Congress now. That's going to make it more difficult for women to vote because they have name changes.
Yeah.
So this is from Anna Chandler. This would have been, during the women's suffrage movement of the teens. If she's good enough to be your baby's mother, she's good enough to vote with you.
Yeah,
and it's a good one that people should look up. It's a really good song, and the sentiment is something.
It's prescient.
Yeah, and the ultimate victory of suffrage came in Tennessee with what was that guy's name? The representative from
I can't remember
down the
now.
road. It was in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
Young, I think it was his mother wrote him a letter.
Yeah.
And so he voted for suffrage, and it became a thing.
Yeah. So anyway, but that was there were women singing about this back then, and that's a great song to look up sometime. You can find it on YouTube. It's out there.
All right. You got music recommendations?
Yes, and it ties in. I didn't mention them. We were talking about the Pretty Things came up.
I love them.
And the Pretty Things, I talked with Phil May back when they were doing a big compilation, and the history of the Pretty Things is they were a British invasion band. Their manager pissed off the guy who was bringing all the British invasion acts over to the United States. They never got to come to the United States during that golden period where they could have been a big thing. And they went to New Zealand, and as Phil May told me, played for effing sheep. But they became like the biggest British invasion band outside of the Beatles in New Zealand.
That's pretty good marketing, idea. It's like we'll never compete with all the other, would-be Beatles in other countries. So,
well, I mean, but Freddie and the Dreamers and all these other kind of marginal acts were coming over here on Ed Sullivan and everything, and the Pretty Things, which were
an actual really good band,
really good gritty band, and they were just like, and while they were in New Zealand, their drummer Vivian Prince got into a fight. He was liked to get drunk and start fights in bars, and he fought with like the New Zealand top prize fighter, and went to the hospital. And pictures of him are horrific.
Wow.
But they got as much publicity from him getting into a fight with like this prize fighter. But anyway,
they were all the rage from Auckland to Wellington.
But they were great to talk to. It's Phil May was terrific, and I'm friends with Wally Waller on Facebook, who was in the band, and then Dick Taylor was actually one of the first Rolling Stones, but he only played I think a couple of shows with them. But it's interesting history. But they've been around since the early '60s. But I want to recommend either, to get into them, Singles A's and B's, which has all their singles and the B-sides, or the 1999 album, Rage Before Beauty, because this is the one where they really kind of come back. They kind of, I always thought they were partly the inspiration for Spinal Tap. Because of their storied history and all the phases they went through. But this is the one that comes, after the punk era, after this stuff, but they're just back to this good, raw, gritty rock and roll. And probably my favorite Pretty Things song is Vivian Prince about their former drummer. And it's just got an introduction with like little the wooden sticks together. I can't remember what you call it, just sticks. But it's great. It is a great album, and that song particularly is just, you got to hear it. And it's a good video out there, too, if you want to see the video on YouTube.
All right. John, you got music?
Yes. I was reading an article about Mitch Easter, the record producer, and I was reminded of his 2007 album Dynamico, which was the only solo record he had. He had a band, Let's Active, that put out several records, and he produced R.E.M. and Marshall Crenshaw and Pavement, and I mean, he's a known producer, but Dynamico from 2007, and the songs are great. It's he gets lumped in with jangly pop, and I think he hates that term, but this album is muscular. It's got big distorted guitars, and the songs are really good, and I don't know. I love, the first song on it is called Ton of Bricks, and the catch line is, sign right here, please. Here's your ton of bricks.
That's cool. I need to look that one up.
I got nothing against jangly pop either, so that sounds extra good then. Mitch Easter?
Mm-hmm. Mitch Easter.
All right.
Dynamico.
I like that too.
What you got, Chuck?
Coast. I've got, Maren Cadell, Angel Food for Thought. This is from 91, 92. Mm-hmm. And this was a Brooklyn-based performer. And it was a lot of performance art. It was kind of like you were talking
Minton
about.
Sparks. She was like the hip Minton.
Yeah, and it was like poetry and then songs and everything. And it was kind of the prototype for feminine angst in the early 90s, okay? And a lot of songs like Hazards of Dating, a song called Bumblebee, Fantasy of Being a Flight Attendant and Saving Everyone on the Plane, and just a whole lot of odd songs. But one of the favorites is called Being in Love, and it's about unwanted pregnancies. And it's like I met a boy and a boy met me, and we got together and we made a baby, and I didn't want it and neither did he. But here comes bouncy baby Julie, and that sucks. And then there's another one, and there's another one. There's a song called Knitting, which is a really dark song. It's a foreboding, and it sounds like a song of maybe a suicide plan or something from an agoraphobic who just wants to disappear forever. But it was mostly known for more upbeat songs or weird songs. There was one that was a twisted kind of gospel flavored song called I've Been Redeemed. And then through the process, the singers like talking about, accepting Jesus and all this stuff. And then later on their second thoughts, he goes, so intangible, so surreal, letting Christ into my heart. I don't even know the God. And then I think the best known song is called The Sweater, and it's advice to a teen girl who has somehow managed to swipe a sweater from a boy she's got a crush on in school, and they're like on it. They went camping together with a bunch of other kids or something, and she got it. And during the advice, it's like, Monday, wear the sweater to school. And it's like, just be yourself, the best, cutest version of yourself. Definitely wear lip gloss. But the interesting footnote here is that Marin Cadell is a transgender man and transitioned in 2003 and has married another man in 2014. So, and the name wasn't changed. So Marin Cadell is not a dead name. It's the name she when she was a cisgender woman, and then still the name for him. And he's now teaching songwriting at the University of British Columbia.
Huh. Interesting.
How do you spell his last name?
Cadell. It's a lot of fun. You remember it, don't you?
Mike
Flanagan loved
I used to play.
And what was the album?
Angel Food for Thought.
Yeah, I used to play tracks on my radio show.
A lot of short ones. And just
it was always one of those things you could like slip in between a couple of songs.
Yeah.
It was kind of a little palate cleanser.
I just think it's interesting too with the like the feminist perspective, and like there's one song about the fear of wearing high heels down the pavement, that it's going to get you raped and all that stuff. It's just so interesting. I would like to know the story that came to the realization and the transition and all that stuff. And then, of course, we were talking too about a transgender man who then marries another man. And I don't know, it's just fascinating. I'd love to hear more from people with that kind of perspective. Yeah. Movie.
Well,
TV.
Actually, it's TV.
Okay.
PBS has they just put out a documentary, a 3-part documentary. Ken Burns is producer. He wasn't director. On Henry David Thoreau. Actually, I learned you pronounce it Thoreau.
Just get the O on the end, right?
Yeah,
That's
you
all
got
the
it.
French
It's
care
like
about.
the
EAU.
It's got both syllables are equally emphasized.
Okay. Yeah, that's hard.
Spondy.
Yeah,
you
brought that
mentioned that up last week.
I didn't know what you were talking about the first time you brought it up, and it's like, oh, that's what that is. I didn't even know it had a name. So
yeah, but it sounds more like the word thorough than it does Thoreau. Yeah,
right.
But anyway, I learned all sorts of things I did not know. Of course, he wrote Walden and On Civil Disobedience, which that treatise like influenced Gandhi and Martin Luther King and all sorts of people. Anybody that practices passive resistance and goes to jail for a cause, pretty much everybody has read that or been influenced by it. And of course, Walden is about getting in touch with yourself and getting in touch with nature. And I learned a lot. It's beautiful to watch. So much of it is shot in the town of Walden, the Walden Pond, which he wrote about. But you find out a lot of things that you thought he was that he wasn't.
And is it just called Henry David Thoreau?
It's called Henry David Thoreau.
Thoreau.
Oh, yeah. Thoreau. Yes. I can't do it right.
The French say it's
after 60-plus years of saying Thoreau.
I know. Well, Jeff Goldblum is the person who reads Thoreau's stuff, and even he pronounces it the way that we all grew up pronouncing it. But it's well worth watching. It's very kind of slow and meditative, just sort of like reading Thoreau is. And, I enjoyed it. It was, but the best thing is I learned a lot that I didn't know and appreciate. And talks a lot about his family life, his relationship with Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was his mentor. And it's just very interesting.
All right.
I've got a TV show as well. It is on Netflix, and it's called Brockmire. It's a series. There were 3 seasons from 2017 to 2020, and it stars Hank Azaria and Amanda Peet. And the story is interesting because Hank Azaria plays a Major League Baseball broadcaster who's also a heavy drinker, and it's just kind of an unsaid joke that he's going to be drunk when he's broadcasting his games. And there's all kinds of cameos by real sportscasters in here too. But at one point, he finds out his wife has had an affair, and he was especially drunk that day and just goes on a rant on live TV or live radio and just ruins his career. And this is all just, you don't even see this. This is all backstory.
Right.
And so then he goes to Europe and broadcasts all kinds of weird sports because that's the only job he can get. And where this starts, he is hired by Amanda Peet. She owns a bar, and her father was a pro baseball player. She loves the game of baseball, and she mortgages her bar to buy a minor league baseball team, pro team, and she hires him to come in and do the broadcast. And It's really funny, and I think Hank Azaria was instrumental in writing it or creating the character or something. But he's just got the gift of gab.
Yeah,
and it's really funny. The show is a 30-minute show. You can watch a couple or three in an evening, but it's good. Brockmire.
Cool. Yeah, Wayne probably wouldn't know this, but John, it's like sports broadcasters are some of the weirdest, bizarre people.
Yeah.
And when you listen to them and everything, it just, I don't know, it's just a whole other world when you get into that. I'm going to recommend Project Hail Mary. We've not mentioned this yet. It came out March 20th. Sci-fi blockbuster starring Ryan Gosling. Directors are Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. They've done a lot of stuff they did a Spider-Man movie. They did the Lego movie. They did what is it, Partly Cloudy with Meatballs or something like that.
Yeah.
They kind of put them on the map. And it's based on a book by Andy Weir. So this Project Hail Mary, which that's a sports term, actually, Hail Mary.
Right.
The touchdown you can make at the end of a football game or something in a long touch. Anyway, Ryan Gosling just is this movie, and he's just a great star. And it's like I suspended my disbelief early on. So what it's about is the Earth, our sun is dimming, and there's a microorganism in space that's eating away the energy of our sun, and scientists discovered that stars are dimming all around the universe, and there's only one star that's not dimming, and they're like trying to figure out how we can get a team to that star to figure out whatever it is that's keeping their sun from being dimmed. And it's told in layers. It's like it's told in the now, which is like, well, it's told from the perspective of the scientist trying to convince Ryan Gosling to go. He's just a middle school science teacher, and he wrote some kind of theory or essay about something that everyone dismissed, and they found him, and they want to send him into space and two other people to try to go find out what's happening in this one universe that's okay. And honestly, I just put aside all my, sense of disbelief because It's like, okay, whatever, right? And the science behind this, I have no idea if it works out or not, and I didn't spend any time thinking about it. I just got caught up in the story, and Ryan Gosling not wanting to go because they wouldn't be able to bring them back when they send them off. They're sending them off, and they'll just be able to transmit some kind of formula back if they find it. And what's interesting is it's rated PG-13, and it's kind of an E.T. for adults in a way, because there's another planet, their sun, in another universe, their sun is dimming. And so there's an alien from there who's also come to that star. And this alien, he calls him Rocky, and he looks like a little rock formation, and he's got like 5 legs, but he's also kind of like a dog. He's got this friendly spirit. They learn how to talk to each other, and they care about each other, and they're working together. And this Rocky is only like about knee high. And it's just a great story. And it's like something I would never think I would like or buy into. And Chester had tried to get me to go to it, and because I looked at the ratings today. Still, Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 95% with critics and a 96% with viewers.
Wow!
So it's just set it aside and just enjoy it as like a big movie with a major star. I think Ryan Gosling's one of the only truly major stars that we have that can just go and do kind of anything. And it's just it's darkness. I mean, you can take kids. There's, we're talking about the apocalypse. You're talking about him not being able to go home and people die and stuff like that. But it was just totally, thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, well, Sarah and I were going to go to that this weekend, but it was there weren't any good seats.
Yeah,
she was telling me about it.
A few weeks. Yeah.
It's
good. It's good. It's like I had popcorn and Raisinets and Goobers. So it was like
that's $55 worth of candy.
Yeah, it was well, you can sneak some of the candy. You can't sneak the popcorn. But I'm just saying, if you need to save money, you can get that $1 box of.
I'm sad to say that I don't remember the last time I went to a movie theater.
Yeah.
That is sad. It's much better seeing a movie at a movie theater.
Well, and this, we've seen a lot of space movies, and we've got weird opinion. You and your favorite Sandra Bullock movie there.
Sandra Bullock.
And they all go through these same themes of being isolated, and something happens to him early on where he's super isolated, and then the fear and dangers and everything. in a way it's groundbreaking and in a way it's not, but it's just such a throwback to just a big crowd pleasing movie that's not just hokey and jolly or anything like that.
Cool. Well, we'll probably try to see it this week.
Sure. Try to see it at your cheap theater on their cheap day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually that Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
I should probably get tickets now.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, well, people, we hope you've enjoyed our Mother's themed thing. Happy Mother's Day if this is happening. If you're hearing this,
Madagascar starts with Ma.
Madagascar, yeah, that's perfect. We had another new country pop up today, but I've stuck with Madagascar, and that's why. That's a perfect reason. Anyway, you can find us on social media. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook Reels. Why don't I write this
Instagram,
down?
X.
Instagram,
Facebook.
X. And TikTok. And I was saying I don't know why we're doing TikTok anymore. And, it's like I'm not even sure if anyone's seeing it. And our last video got several hundred views. I was like, oh, well, I guess somebody's finding us on TikTok after all.
Okay.
So, anyway, if you've got any questions or suggestions or any themes or anything like that for us, feedback, you can write us, any of us, at howweheardit@gmail.com. And thank you for listening. Happy Mother's Day. I think that did well.
I think so too.
I'm glad I didn't have to come up with 50 songs about mother.
You've been listening to How We Heard It with Chuck Campbell and Wayne Bledsoe, a podcast about music, movies, art, culture, whatever it is that's on their mind. How We Heard It was recorded at the Arbor Studio in Knoxville, Tennessee by me, John Baker. How We Heard It is a Cozy Planet production. If listening to this podcast has given you a burning sensation, then we recommend you sit in a hot tub until your symptoms fade away. If you'd like to reach out to Chuck or Wayne or even me, you can send an email to howweheardit@gmail.com. So thank you for listening, and come on back and we'll have another episode for you next week.